10 virtues, 10 virtues and the non-virtues are the exact opposite of each other. So what is the, when we refrain from engaging in the non-virtuous acts, non-virtuous deeds, and um, walk forward, walk towards the opposite side of what the non-virtuous deeds are, then we are heading towards the virtuous actions. So there are 10 non-virtuous actions, and so therefore there are 10 opposite virtuous actions as well. So there is 4 of the speech, 4 non-virtuous speech, non-virtuous deeds from the speech, 3 from the mind, and 3 from the body. So totally there are 10 of them, and the exact opposite of that is walking away from the 10 non-virtuous deeds, or walking towards the opposite side of the non-virtuous deeds is considered virtuous deeds, and we have covered that last week. So today we will be covering. So within the first category, there are actually numerous subcategories, and the first of them is the 10 virtuous deeds, and the second one is the 6 perfections, and we will be talking about this today. And as usual, please, as we say, the Sanghya Zoma, when we take refuge, we are taking the refuge of the what is known as the Mahayana refuge, which is that I will take refuge into the Buddha Dharma Sangha until I gain enlightenment, complete enlightenment, the Buddhahood, for the sake of all sentient beings. So think in such a way that the teaching that you are receiving today, you will be utilizing that, no matter how little understanding you have, no matter how little realization you have, you will utilize that for the better, for the sake of all sentient beings, for the sake of the greater good. Oh yeah, so today's teaching deals, so the subcategory of the first instruction, the second subcategory is the 6 perfections. So the things like the 6 perfections, the 10 virtuous deeds, understanding on emptiness, the 37 aspects of the Bodhisattva's practice, and so on and so forth. All these are the result, they are the qualities of the Buddha Dharma, or the doctrines of the Buddha, in the sense that by studying, by listening to the Buddha's teaching, one will be able to gain, one will be able to grasp the meaning of these qualities, and one will be able to apply that into one's practices or day-to-day life. So the second one is the 6 perfections. So the 6th perfection is so the first is generosity, second is moral discipline, the third is patience, fourth is concentration or meditation, then the fifth is after the patience, the fourth is effort, putting effort. The fifth is contemplation or concentration, and sixth is wisdom. So these are the result of studying the Buddha's teaching. One can also say that the 10 virtues and non-virtuous deeds applies to everyone, whether you are a Mahayana practitioner or not, because if you do not abstain from the 10 non-virtuous deeds, if you do not apply the 10 virtuous deeds, then your afterlife would not be very favorable. So therefore, this is something that everyone, anyone who is a follower of the Buddha would like to, would have to follow this. But not even Buddhist, even if you are, even if you're not a Buddhist, you will still want to follow most of the 10 virtuous deeds, except for, let's say, the wrong view, which is not believing in the Buddha Dharma Sangha, or believing in law of causality. Yeah, even people who do not believe in the religion usually believe in law of causality, even though they may not say, I believe in karma. But people who do not believe in religion usually tend to do so because they like to follow logical reasons more than faith alone. So therefore, so logic is more important than religion or faith alone. And for such people, law of causality always usually applies. So therefore, the 10 virtues deeds applies to everyone, irrespective of whether you are Buddhist or not Buddhist. But when it comes to the six perfections, it is not for all. It is not something that everyone can do so. Um, Even within Buddhist, during Buddha's time, the so-called hearers, there's the hearers, the hearers, the Shravakas, and then there's the Pratitya Buddhas, and so there are three categories. Like there's the Bodhisattvas, there's the Pratitya Buddhas or the self-realized Buddhas, and then there is the hearers. And so the hearers are usually called the Hinayanas because their mindset is turned towards self-realized liberations, and not they tend to they turn to the Buddha Dharma, they turn to the Buddha's teaching in order to liberate oneself, not for the sake of other sentient beings. But for the Bodhisattvas, it is to the goal, the purpose of practicing, the purpose of following the Buddha's teaching is to realize the ultimate goal of the Buddhahood, for not so because once you become a Buddha, then everything is done and you're going to relax. But once you become Buddha, you are fully empowered. You are fully empowered to help all the sentient beings that you are, that is so dear to you. So therefore, the goal is different. And so for a Mahayana practitioner or a Bodhisattva Yana practitioner, so Mahayana and Bodhisattva Yana are same. So for a Bodhisattva Yana practitioner or a Mahayana practitioner, the six perfections are key, very important. So in this regard, the six perfections, the six perfections are the key practices for a Mahayana practitioner, Mahayana follower. Okay. So the six perfections, as I said, the first is generosity, and generosity, in a nutshell, is about giving. And to give something, usually you give something that you usually in an ordinary world we give something that we own, that is ours. We cannot give somebody else's things. We give something that is ours. And the things that we designate as ours, we are usually attached towards them. Some we are extremely attached towards, some slightly attachment is there. So all in all the things that we give, usually we are somewhat attached to because we have designated it as ours. So we are the proprietor and it is our property. So whether we give so when we are practicing generosity, we are practicing giving, and when we are practicing giving, we are actually practicing detachment, which is the opposite of attachment. And so when we practice generosity, we are actually attacking one of the three root causes of samsara or suffering, which is attachment. The three poisons: attachment, hatred, and ignorance. So when we practice generosity, we are practicing detachment, which is the opposite of attachment. So when we talk about giving, we are not only talking about giving property, as in the sense of money or food or that kind of clothes and that kind of thing alone. We can also give comfort to people. We can also give smile to people. We can give people who are lonely, we can give them time. And so there's a lot of things to give. Anything that you have, you can give and share with. What we share nowadays, we call, we share this thing on Facebook and this and that. So sharing is a part of giving. So when we share something good, especially in social media, we are actually giving, we are practicing generosity. And when we share something negative, of course, we have the adverse effect, we have the opposite effect. But when we share something positive, we are actually practicing generosity, the first of the 6 perfections. So, so it can be a beautiful quote, it can be a beautiful story, a beautiful video, even sharing some beautiful pictures online can. Nowadays, you don't have to go anywhere. You just share some beautiful pictures online. People look at it, and then people derive some sort of joyfulness out of looking at that picture or that quote or that video or whatever. So it is nowadays it's very easy to practice generosity. The tools are at your disposal. You have all the tools, so you can use that for your advantage or disadvantage. So as I say, it is a practice of generosity. The first of the 6 perfections is a practice of giving or practice of detachment. And so therefore, it's a vital practice in the Bodhisattva Yana, because in the Bodhisattva Yana, you are talking about realizing the ultimate goal of Buddhahood for the sake of other sentient beings. So something that is greater than you alone. So in order to do that, what you call yours, what I call mine, the things that belongs to me, I designate them as mine. So that designation, that imputation, is being that imputation is being destabilized. And so this is a very important practice of destabilizing the self-grasping. And also in a point of perspective, it is a very powerful practice of destabilizing the self-grasping attitude. And in terms of merit making, or in terms of accumulation of merit, by practicing generosity, you are accumulating great merit in the form of having a better life form in your next life. Whether you believe in that or not, it's not a big deal. But the previous the thing that I said earlier, it's very important. So according to the Buddha's teaching, it is said that if you practice generosity, you will have a better life. Better life meaning in the next life you will have a better rebirth with high endowed with the. So you will have a better rebirth with the proper endowments. That is what the Buddha said. Okay. So the after generosity, of course, is the moral discipline. So there are 2 words here, moral and discipline. So it's not just one. Sometimes for a simple translation, we use the word discipline, or morality alone. But actually, in the Tibetan as well as in the Sanskrit, there are 2 words. In Tibetan, it's tul and tim. So the first tul is morality and tim is discipline, or rule or law, whatever you may call it. So discipline, of course, is important when you are on a great journey, when you are on a journey to a great path, you need a discipline. No matter what you do, you need a discipline. If you are going to eat, you have a discipline how to eat. Even breathing, there is a discipline. You have to breathe in and then you have to breathe out. If you do not follow the discipline, if you only keep inhaling and no exhalation at all, you will die. If you keep exhaling and no inhalation, you will die. So something simple as the breathing, there is a discipline. There is an in and there is an out. So if you are bicycling, if you are driving, if you are playing with your phone, whatever you are doing, there's a discipline. Without discipline, nothing can go on. And so people, of course, sometimes people think like, okay, I do not want to be disciplined. That discipline is something that is that is actually some people normally feel. Many of us do feel like discipline is something that is caging us, that is chaining us. But truth be told, we are actually putting a lot of discipline on things that we love to do. Only when it is something that's against our desire, then we cite reason of caging and chaining and so on and so forth, and say we go against the discipline. So discipline is very important no matter what you do, and so therefore even in realizing the ultimate goal of Buddhahood, you will need the discipline. So why do we put the sort of the prefix, which is moral discipline? So moral has many different connotations, and so as I said, every discipline, everything needs discipline. Even a terrorist organization has a discipline. If you want to do a bad thing, if you want to kill someone, you need discipline. You have to make a plan and follow the plans methodically. Otherwise, your plan will fail, and you will not be able to kill someone or rob a bank or anything. So discipline is important in anything we do, but moral discipline is something different. So the prefix or the term moral actually tells us that we are heading towards the goal of this discipline is not inferior. It is it is directed towards something something more exalted, something that is for the benefit of the greater good, something that is for the sake of all sentient beings. So that is the meaning of the moral part of the second practice of the six perfections, moral discipline. Okay, then the next, yeah, the next is normally what we translate as patience. So patience again is the opposite of impatience. So something that you're not able to bear, something that you're not able to wait, something that you're not able to. So patient normally in our daily usage, we talk about impatience only in sense of being able to wait for something or not being able to wait for something. But patient has a lot of other meanings. If you are able to hear out a story of some annoying person, that is also a form of patience. That you are able to bear whatever difficulty that is going on. If you, being able to bear the difficulties, being able to bear challenges, all these are part of the patience. So when you have patience, you're able to bear things that is normally considered unbearable, and something that nobody is ready to take the challenge. So this is important for a bodhisattva practice, because once you, of course, as the name suggests, a bodhisattva practice usually deals about for the sake of all sentient beings. So normally for us, if we have to make 10 people happy, it is so difficult, let alone all sentient beings. How can we fulfill all the wishes of 10 people? Even fulfilling the wishes of 10 people, even 5 people, making 5 people happy is not very easy. It's very difficult. So how to make all sentient beings happy, to make all sentient beings satisfied, content, that is almost like an impossible job. Normally in normal circumstances, we would say it is possible, but as history has proven, and we learn from our masters and so on and so forth, it is possible, and it is only possible through practicing patience, through forbearance, and so therefore being able to bear Being able to bear means there are not just able to bear the insults, not just able to bear an annoyance, but also being able to bear, or in today's term we call tolerate. Yeah, being able to bear, being able to tolerate things that you do not agree with, being able to tolerate other opinions of other people, being able to tolerate opinions of other religion, and so on and so forth. So tolerance is also an aspect of patience. And so for a bodhisattva who is there to, for a bodhisattva practitioner who is there working for the sake of all sentient beings, of course you will need to hear all from all parts of the group, should be able to tolerate opinions, different opinions from all aspects of the group. So therefore, patience is an integral part of the bodhisattva's practice, and therefore it is the one of the 6 perfections. 6 perfections meaning it is something that a bodhisattva has to perfect, and once these qualities are perfected, then of course one becomes the Buddha. Next is the efforts. Even though for simple translation we call it efforts, but the word, the meaning of effort here, the effort as put in the 6th perfection is not an ordinary effort. Just similar to discipline. Of course, for everything we do, we need effort. Whatever we do, there an effort is required. Whether if you want to kill someone or rob a bank or do anything negative, you will need effort. So for anything positive, also effort is required. The effort mentioned here in the 6th perfection is actually, you can call it virtuous effort. So there's a saying, which means effort is something that enlivens, that arouses, or that kindles the virtuous activities within us. So the effort mentioned here within the 6th perfection is an effort is an effort that will actually bring forth our virtuous the virtuous tendencies. So an effort that will bring forth, that will give rise to virtuous tendencies within us, that is considered an virtuous effort, and that is the effort being mentioned. That is the effort is being referred to when we talk about the 6 perfections. So we're not talking about just any kind of efforts. We are talking about an effort that will give rise to virtuous activities or virtuous tendencies, because we all have, there's a conscious state and a subconscious state. So an effort that will, and any kind of effort that will give rise to the virtuous tendencies, the subconscious state of virtuous tendencies that is lying dormant within our mind. So that is considered, that is called an effort. The effort referred to here in the 6 perfections is an effort that gives life to virtuous tendencies within us. So yeah, it's not just it is not any kind of ordinary efforts. So it is an effort that gives rises to virtuous tendencies within us. Next is what we normally call a meditation or contemplation or concentration, but the actual translation should be something like mental stability. So the Tibetan word is samten, or in Sanskrit it's samadhi. Sama or samba, samten is in the Tibetan. Sam is mind or to think, and ten is established or stability, stabilized. The meaning of the fifth perfection is mental stability. So in order to gain mental stability, of course, one needs to put into practice concentration through meditation. So concentration is also a right word, in the sense that when we meditate, we concentrate all aspect of our mind into one. So that is when we are meditating, we try to put all our efforts or all our mental efforts into thinking of one particular object or one particular subject. So therefore, our mind is concentrated, consolidated. So that sort of and in that state of mind, within that state, within that moment, within that state of the concentration, our mind is stabilized. So there is mental stability. It can be 2 seconds, 20 seconds, 20 minutes, 20 hours, whatever. But within that moment of concentration, there is mental stability. And so by training in mental stability, by training on concentration through meditation, one is able to take full control of the mind. And once you have the mind under your control, then you will be able to direct your mind towards whatever subject that you want it to focus on, and it will stay there as long as you would want it to be. So therefore, mental stability is very important, because in order to train in all these, in order to train and to be perfect, to become perfect, to master, in order to train and to master the arts of compassion, impermanence, and all these things, emptiness, and all the teachings of the Buddha, one will need a powerful the concentration. One needs to be able to control or master one's mind, and without that it's quite difficult. So therefore, concentration or mental stability is the key, and so therefore it is the fifth element in the six perfections. So the last and the next and the last one is wisdom, and so in the Bodhisattva yana, so yana meaning a vehicle or something like a ride, in order to get to the enlightenment, in order to reach our ultimate goal of enlightenment, our ultimate destination, we have different rides, we have different vehicles, the Hinayana, the Mahayana, and the Vajrayana, and so on and so forth. So in the Mahayana practices, the sixth perfection is the key practice of the Bodhisattvas. It is also said that all the practices of the Bodhisattva is encompassed within the six perfections. It's included within that, within the six perfections. No practice, no activities of the Bodhisattvas involved outside of the six perfections. And so in that understanding, the six, think of it as like think of the whole practice like a vehicle, a car. So you have the steering wheel, you have the wheels, you have this the motor and everything, the heart and everything. But if you have if you have a complete car, but without a driver, the car will not be able to reach, go to the destination. Of course, maybe in the future we will have cars driven by the artificial intelligence, but at the moment it's not, it's not a reality yet. So anyway, so the wisdom is like the driver within the car. So all the other aspects of the practices, the morality, the discipline, and all these things are like the car itself. And then a car cannot be, a car is not self-driven. A vehicle is not self-driven. It has to be driven by someone. even if you are to put an artificial intelligence, even if it is to be driven by artificial intelligence, it has to the programs has to be set in there by someone. So it is even a self-driven car is not self-driven because all the instructions were mandated by a person. So there it is not totally self-driven, totally self-reliant. So all in all, what I'm trying to say here is that a car needs a driver, and that driver is the wisdom, because wisdom is the definition of wisdom is a mental factor that is able to distinguish or discriminate between what is right and what is wrong, what is moral and what is immoral, what is ethical and what is unethical, what is positive and what is negative. So a driver decides that to go to right side, left side, stop here, not stop here. It's all decided by the driver, provided of course the car is in good condition and there's full the fuel is full, the gas is full and all that. So so the wisdom is the driver. The wisdom drives the car, and the car is all the other practices are like the car. So the car is required for the driver to reach to the destination, and also to get to the destination a driver is required. So the driver mandates where the car is going to, how fast, where to stop, and so on and so forth. So this is where the role of wisdom comes into play. So all these things put together is the main practice, the principal practices of a bodhisattva. Okay, so we went into quite a great detail in moderately detailed explanation of the 6 perfections. So in case it's if I'm going too deep, you can just give feedback. So next time I will go just very fast. Anyway, okay, the conclusion of today's teaching, and if you have any questions, please start.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go on, Ms. Yen.
We have a couple questions now. I'll read the first one. Prostrate to Rinpoche. Could you please suggest a good technique to help us be more patient or more tolerant with others in today's fast-paced environment? Thank you, Rinpoche.
Okay, so yeah, we tend to think in such ways nowadays. I mean, like as the question suggested, how to deal with impatience in a fast-paced world, in today's world. So we tend to think like in today's world there is a lot of problem erupting. Actually, impatience is a weakness of human beings since time immemorial. Even during Buddha's time, it is a big deal. So therefore, there is the patience. So it's not something that is newly made or something that came up in 21st century. It is just due to the technology and everything. We are able to see each other's problem more. We are able to get informed about each other's problems and everything due to technology. So therefore we feel like, oh, the world has gone so bad, and there's so much negativity, time is so fast-paced, everyone is so selfish and this and that. Actually, what has been going on for centuries or millennia has been the same thing, but due to technology we're able to see it on a more closer and more faster scale. That is all it is. If you look at history, we have always been fighting, we have always been suffering, we have always been striving, we have always been struggling, and so on and so forth. So nothing much has changed, to be honest. Okay, that being said, on the positive side, of course, people are concerned about intolerance. People are concerned about impatience. People are concerned about not people are concerned about not being concerned about other people's opinions and so on and so forth. So we have set up many organizations. We tend to, like that. Okay. So to the question, in order to train ourselves for patience, to become more tolerant, one has to be more understanding. One has to always be able to not look just from one's own side. Once you change your perspective, then of course one will be able to become more tolerant. If you always look from your own side and think, okay, let's say you only read into Buddha's teaching, and then you will think that only what the Buddha said is true, and every other religion is fake and it's just making up stories and so on and so forth. And if you think of it in another perspective, like if you think it from a Muslim Islamic perspective, you will think that is the only truth and everyone else is just making up stories. So therefore, look at it from all sides, and then whether it's religion, okay, religion is just one example. So within a family, if you have a family quarrel or any sort of dispute between two groups, it is always important to look at it from the other person's perspective. And once you look at it from their side, the perspective changes. When you're looking from the right side, when you are heading up, what is on your right side? Okay, so when you look at from this side, that is the other side. When you are looking from the that side, this is the other side. So other side, that side, right and wrong usually changes from perspective of where you are looking. So if you look from the right side, the left is right. If you look from the left side, the right is left. So it changes. So the opinion always changes. If you look at anything, just look at if you look at let's say Facebook, one example. Any topic in the world, if you look at the comment section, everyone has different opinions. So that means nobody can be sane. So don't try to. Are you willing to give into what they want you to think? If you are not ready to think as they think, why should they think like you think? So difference in opinion has to be respected, because everyone has different upbringing, different experiences, different friends, different influences. So therefore our mind and our understanding is different of everything. So therefore always try to look at things from the other person's perspective. But at the same time, it doesn't mean whatever the other person said is true. So of course one has to come into sort of a midsection, so that you do not compromise your own core values, but at the same time come to the middle and then have a conversation. So it's important for both persons to come into the middle to reach a consensus. So always look at things from the other person's perspective. Internally, look at it from the other person's perspective. Externally, you don't have to agree to everything that person said. You know what the person is trying to say. You know what the person's intention is. You know why that person is doing what they're doing. One example is when you go to a shop, we always bargain. The other person is going to say a huge, the seller is going to say a huge amount of money, and you are going to say the seller is going to ask for the highest price, and you are going to bid for the lowest price. And of course, that person is working hard, and there's all that, but still you will always bid for the lowest. So what you understand internally and what you express externally doesn't have to match in this regard. Because if you agree to everything that other person says, then you will have no sort of backbone of your own. So it is important to think, it is important to understand, it is important to know the other person's perspective. Once you know that, you will be able to tolerate what the other person is saying, but you will still not be giving in to the demands of the other person. Unless, of course, it is something that does not contradict with your core values. Next question, please.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Next question, prostrate to Rinpoche. Would you please share a technique to train our mind? Thank you, Rinpoche.
Okay. Okay. So it's a pretty vague, it's a pretty open question. Like the training our mind, there are different sets of training the mind, just like training your body, right? So if you ask like what is the best workout for me, what is the best exercise for me, it's quite difficult to answer without looking at your you know, your body shape. Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to gain weight, gain muscle? Are you trying to become more fit or more muscular, whatever? So depending on your bodily needs, so physical training is recommended. Similarly, a mental training is depending on your need. Anyway, but let's assume, since the question is a little bit quite ambiguous, I don't know exactly what the question is. So let's assume that training of mind is something we're talking about, being able to tame our mind, calm our mind, or control our mind, so to speak. The best or the most convenient sort of method, of course, is to train our mind to train in meditation. So meditation, I would say, meditation, concentrated meditation, contemplative meditation, which is to stay focused on a particular object for a certain amount of time, and then try to lengthen it, try to extend it. Start from like 20 seconds, then go towards 2 minutes and 4 minutes, like that. So that would be my suggestion, because once you are able to once you become familiar in the art of once you become familiar in the method of consolidating your mind, consolidating different distorted and fragmented aspects of your mind into one aspect, one central sort of one amalgamation, one big sort of, when you are able to consolidate all the broken pieces of your mind into one, then of course you will be able to use that as a strong force. You know, it's like think of the mind as water, as ordinary water, and concentrated power or meditative power or contemplation, as think of that as a jet stream of water. You know, when you have when you put water to the water pipe, and then there's a jet stream, right? The things that we use to wash our cars, when the water is jet stream to the pipe, it can actually wash away dirt and stains and everything. It's very powerful. But when the water is left alone, it's just smooth and subtle, and it doesn't harm anything. But when it's jet stream through a powerful motor, then it can actually penetrate through metal even. So similarly, meditation is the method, the technique of consolidating all the meditation is like the motor which actually powers the jet stream. So the jet stream is once you are able to consolidate all of your mental power, then you can point that towards any subject that you would like. Think of that also in the sense of a magnifying glass. When you put a magnifying glass below direct sunlight, and then you can actually control the size of the what do you call that thing? The focus of the magnifying glass. And when it's very powerful, actually it can burn a lot of. It can burn. It has the ability to burn things. But when it's not so powerful, when it is not consolidated, it cannot burn anything. But when it is consolidated, when it's all concentrated, it can burn through. It can burn through woods, it can burn through grass, and all sort of things. So meditation is the practice or the technique of consolidating all of your mental factors together. And by training in that, I would suggest start with that first to train your mind. As I said, there are many different ways of training your mind. Depends on your weakness, just like your bodily needs. You want to gain weight, lose weight, whatever you want. Similarly, sometimes you want some qualities. You want to gain some qualities. Sometimes you want to dispose of some qualities of the mind, like any negativity. You have regret, you have grief, and so on and so forth. You have sadness, which you want to dispose of. Then you want happiness, gratefulness, and so on and so forth, that you want to draw them. So depending on different qualities that you want to draw, different qualities that you want to build, there are different methods of training the mind in the sutras. So that is the thing. And normally, if you are talking about, normally there's a thing called mind training, lojong. The lojong is a very popular practice that is quite prevalent in Tibetan Buddhism. So that mind training is usually dealing with mental. This so-called mind training is all about dealing with daily challenges, dealing with our mental weaknesses or challenges that we come up in our day-to-day life through. So there's a set of technique written in the Lojong books, which tells us how to deal with this and that challenges that comes up with our day-to-day life. So if you're interested in the Lojong, the Lojong practices, there's a very popular, very effective book called. It's not even a book; it's like a booklet, only 8 verses. It's called Mind Training in 8 verses. So there's only 8 verses there. It's very powerful, very effective to deal with your day-to-day life, to day-to-day challenges, and so on and so forth. And of course, when we are able to deal with our day-to-day challenges, then when our day-to-day hindrances, when our day-to-day disturbances are quelled, are taken care of, then we can think of something further for the next life, for other sentient beings, So it's a very effective practice. So it's called Mind Training in 8 verses. So you can look it up. It's a small booklet. Okay. This seems to be no more questions.
That's correct, Rinpoche. That's all for today. No more questions.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Yan. Thank you, Ms. Hong. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. So we will do the dedication prayers now. Janjo Zemjo Jembo Je Maye Banama Yuru Geva Jamba Meba Yang Gone Gondo Bewa Menze